Today's episode 3 of the Instant Coffee series, where we are going to be talking about why you need to be paying more for specialty instant coffee. The Sydney Morning Herald recently asked its readers in a poll, what's the maximum you would pay for your morning caffeine? And over 12,000 people responded, which I thought was a really good sample size. Out of that 12,000, 60% said $5.50 was their ceiling. 14% stretched to $7, 11% capped at $4, and just 15% said whatever they ask, I'll just pay for it. So 7 out of 10 people draw the line at $5.50 or less. But cafes are already charging $6, $7, sometimes even $8 for a cup. And I mean, a $14 pour over, that's not rare. Or a $5 hour-old batchy, that's just the norm. And it's that tension that raises a really big question is, where does specialty instant sit in this picture? Today we're pulling back the curtain on the real economics of specialty instant coffee. Why some brands are charging $170 per 100 grams and how we've made it accessible without cutting corners on quality. So let's get into it. Let's start with a bit of production reality. This is 15 kilos of green coffee. That turns into 12 kilos of roasted coffee. It's about 300, 320 of green beans, but that's before we've roasted it and brewed a drop. So when we're costing specialty instant, we're not just costing the quality of the beans, we are really costing the efficiency. 12 months ago, our freeze drying cycles, they were going 80, 90, sometimes even 100 hours. And what that did is it capped our production at 2 cycles a week. And at 2 a week, it just was not a viable project at all. So we went to work. And that's everything that you've seen so far. The pre-freezing of our trays and overlapping our loads and just heaps tighter operating procedures all over. And today, a full batch is 58 hours. It's that single change in efficiency that has just made the entire project and my week viable. At 58 hours, we run 3 full cycles a week really reliably, and we can push into a 4th when we're just going flat stick. So that's the difference between constant stock and a back order, or that is the difference between saying yes to an incoming contract client or just making them wait altogether. 90 hours down to 58, that was the jump from side project to real business. But when it comes to extracting those 12 kilos, there are no industrial vats in here. They're just espresso shots, exactly the same as your local cafe, just scaled up. It takes around 3 hours of extraction work from myself for every kilogram of instant coffee that I'm able to produce. So that efficiency really matters, not just for me, but for my contract clients as well, is they need consistency, reliability, and a quick turnaround. The end result of those 12 kilos of coffee become about 2.2 kilograms of instant coffee crystals. That is over an 80% reduction in weight, but with all of the flavor compounds preserved. Whenever you start something like this, of course you price what it costs to outsource it. There's only one other group that I know of on the East Coast that handles this process from start to finish. And they quoted me 32.3 cents per gram of finished instant coffee. That is before any setup or freight or any lead time or anything like that. So the minimum input was 32 kilograms of roasted coffee from me, which yielded a little over 6 kilos of instant, which is a pretty similar conversion from here to there. But let's just run that math really quickly. We've got $1,700 of coffee in, about $2,000 worth of processing, plus shipping both ways. It ended up being nearly $4,000 a batch, with 3 to 5 weeks of lead time and no refunds if the quality varied from batch to batch. I was trying to build something here, but try building a business on that. It was high costs, long lead times, and no quality guarantees. Outsourcing was too slow, too risky, and just way too expensive. In-house was much faster, it was more consistent, but it was up to me to be able to make it affordable. That's why we price where we can, because that's the market that I personally am shooting for. So let's chat market reality. What is instant coffee currently costing you? We'll come back to that SMH article from episode 1 where they pitted all of the different instants up against one another. The budget instant coffee like Nescafe, Moccona, all that sort of stuff is 4 to 7 cents per gram. And we all know how that tastes. The more premium supermarket bougie options like our Lavazzas and our Illies, we're talking 14 to 22 cents per gram. Specialty roasters that we respect, our Venezianos and our Axels, Proud Mary do an instant, Stitch do an instant, typically is 67 cents to $1 per gram. There is another brand that goes beyond that as well. That's $3 for a 3 gram serve. And that's the problem. That's half a cafe price, but with none of the cafe experience. Convenient, absolutely, but it's not affordable enough for everyday drinkers. Budget instant coffee that they can afford and they do drink will continue to disappoint them. But the specialty instant that they want to be drinking is already priced out of their reach. The middle ground is missing altogether. Budget is cheap because it's industrial extraction plus heat drying, and the cafes are pricey because you are paying for labor and rent and equipment and all that sort of stuff. The specialty instant fills the middle. It's craft espresso extraction plus freeze drying with none of the overheads. Which leads me to our position, is at 58 cents per gram, we sit roughly 40% below the specialty average, but without sacrificing on quality. Because we own the production, we don't wait on external processes and there's just no supply roulette. If stock runs low, I roast more there, I brew it there, and I freeze dry it just here. But let's make the money case crystal clear, okay? A 2 gram serve, single espresso strength, can cost about $1.16. A 4 gram serve or a double espresso strength costs about $2.30. And that's the whole story in 2 numbers right there. 2 gram single, 4 gram double, the price is going to be $1 or $2. But what about in real terms? How does that translate to real life? Cafe coffee a day, let's just call it $6, is $160 a month. Daily single with our instant is $35 a month. A daily double with our instant is $70 a month. Both of those are still well under cafes. If you're drinking 2 doubles a day, that's $140 a month. That's still below a single cafe coffee daily. Another important translation is beans to instant. What's that equivalent? If you normally buy a 500 gram bag of beans, I'm going to say most home doses are 18 grams, which produces a double espresso. So a 500 gram bag of beans is going to make you about 28 doubles. Our instant, 2 grams for a single, 4 grams for a double. If you want to mirror your 28 double habit, you'd want about 100 grams of instant. That's 2 60 gram jars or one of our 105 gram jars. On ingredients alone, homebrewing beans is always going to be the cheapest. At $55 a kilo, an $18 double costs about $1. So our instant is 4 grams for a double. It's going to come in at $2.30. That's still well under cafe with 0 gear, 0 cleanup, and ready anywhere. You have good water. It can be brewed hot or cold. That's the best thing about it. Another really important cost that a lot of people don't factor in is the true cost of dialing in. Fresh beans are fucking awesome, but dialing in a new coffee can be brutal if you're new to grinders. New bag, new roast date, new fucking whatever it is. If you tweak the grind, then the dose, then the yield, even if you know what those things mean, and suddenly you've burned through 100 grams of coffee chasing this sweet spot that you can see over in the distance. At $55 a kilo, which is conservative, that's $5.50 gone before your real cups even start. That's plus the time and the frustration and all of the inconsistent flatties that you've gotten along the way. Instant skips all of that. 2 gram singles, 4 gram doubles, same result every time, anywhere. If you've just wasted 100 grams dialing in, that's $5.50 gone. Instant hits target cup on number 1. I'll really quickly touch on the cost of scale. We've tested 2 very different production routes here. The first is what you've seen, the espresso extraction, very similar to your cafe style shots. We filter those down and we freeze dry them. The other is the concentrates, which is a really high brix liquid from very specialist brewers. We then freeze dry that. Right now, espresso wins on cost per gram at our volume. Because of the service fee per litre and freight on the concentrates, this outweighs the time that we save. But at larger weekly volumes, the concentrate can flip the math, especially if we're going to be using that same liquid for an RTD project. More on that coming up. But I will absolutely unpack all of the yields, the fees, and even the break-even points on these cost of scale options in a dedicated episode. But what are you paying for when you buy specialty instant? First, it's the coffees. It's exactly the same single origins and blends that I sell on my website, from $55 a kilo all the way through to $105 a kilo. Secondly, it's the roasting. Our Loring roast profiles have been tailored to achieve maximum solubility. The solubility of the coffees is very important for the next part, which is the brewing. If you have really soluble coffees, we just have more coffee solids to extract. The fourth is the drying. The 58-hour full batch cycles preserve all of the volatile aromatics, which is especially handy when they just reappear when you add water. Very, very different to what you currently know as instant coffee. And finally, it's the quality control. Every single batch is cupped and tested. It's not water removal, it is flavour preservation. So we really need to make sure and continue to ask ourselves, does this do the coffee justice? Another thing that you get when you buy full spectrum instant is you're supporting the direct trade relationships and the ecosystem that we have established over the last 10 years. You're supporting Australian manufacturing, Australian jobs, you're supporting packaging designed here. You're supporting a small business that's continually reinvesting in better gear and smarter processes. It's coffee that's crafted here. You know, it's not churned out offshore for some shareholder margin. But where does our instant truly shine? Mate, I'm talking school-run mornings, office desks, travel mugs, trade sites, hotel rooms, hiking stoves. If this is your life, specialty instant is no longer a compromise, mate. It becomes the unlock. If you own a kettle, you own a cafe coffee. It's as simple as that. But let's address the bias. Very, very important. Fresh brewed coffee is unbeatable when it's done right. Dialed roast, good water, proper grind, good pouring intervals, all that sort of stuff. You've probably been on the other side of it too. You've just paid $15, even $20 for a pour over with no depth. In the real world, a lot of variables are in constant drift and flux. Roast quality, water chemistry, grind distribution, bed depth, puck preparation, heat retention, pour rate. I can keep on going. But that's where specialty instant earns its keep. It removes all of that variability. You still get origin character, clarity, sweetness, aromatics, but with none of the chance. Fresh brewed at its best wins every time, but bad brewing loses it for it. But instant wins on the other 300 busy days a year. When you're rushed or you're traveling or you don't just want the cleanup or the chance, instant wins on busy days. And most days are just fucking busy, aren't they? Next episode, we're going to be exploring the cost of scale, how specialty instant is changing consumption patterns. We're going to be looking at some real consumer data, some trends, and the future of brewing with instant coffee. But for now, I want to hear from you. What's your monthly coffee spend? Are you team cafe, team homebrew? Are you instant curious perhaps? Comment cafe, home, or instant below and tell me why. I read every one of the 3 or 4 that might pop up here. So if you also want to experience full spectrum instant, the link is in the description. Use code Ep.3 for 10% off your first order because the best way to measure value is in the cup. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell. We're probably halfway through this series. The best is still to come. We've got a lot of really, really exciting things coming up. But it's been great chatting to you all. Catch you again soon. Ciao, bye. Todd speaking.
Hey mate, Matt from Gold Group Transport. How you going?
Good buddy, how are you?
Good mate, I've got a car sitting here
Yeah, I'm at my shed now, mate. Awesome. I can just hand unload it if that works. Yep, sweet, easy, done. All right, brother, catch up.